Hello, welcome to February 10th, 2026. It's a Tuesday. My name is Kurt, and this is my daily Good Life meditation, a live video broadcast exercise that I do every morning at 5:30 a.m. to remember and apply the values that I've outlined in my book, Going Alone, in the chapter titled The Good Life. I call it the Good Life Creed in particular. I do this every day so that I can tune myself and improve. Yeah, basically, it wasn't enough just to discover, to formulate through my course of my life a set of values, and then to, write them down. I have to apply them every day. So I do this to think about what happened since yesterday at this same time between now and then, where I did exceptionally well. Good morning, April. Um, Exceptionally well or exceptionally poorly, so that I can improve where I'm on the perimeters, right? Learning from the stuff where I did well and improving from the stuff where I did badly. That's the main thrust and reason that I do this. I'm very, very grateful for those that might choose to join me or to watch. But really, the intent of this is a journal entry of sorts. As such, don't be surprised if I go here and there, and there's no particular um, theme other than the self discovery that I mentioned, which I guess is very broad. As such, also, since this is a personal journal done publicly, you are welcome to watch and leave comments and criticisms. Although I usually don't respond to comments until just the end. I do always check the first comment that comes through, as I just saw April's come through, to make sure that the audio is working and that there's no technical problems. And thank you to those of you who will provide me that helpful feedback. All right. A couple more things that I do before I get started. Disclaimer. I do talk sometimes about subjects that are uncomfortable to people, for people's, particularly my own expectations and preparations for my own death, probably very soon. But what I mean by, see, that's where I just did it right there. That's the kind of thing. When I say probably very soon, that kind of raises alarm bells. That's not a declaration of expectation necessarily, although it is. What it is by saying probably very soon is a hashtag memento mori moment where I'm reminding myself that I may not have another day. And that the things that are important to me that I can do in the immediate moment, namely today, I better get around to them. Hmm. Take aside kind of a moment to reflect on that for just a moment. I was just the normal routine. I start this at 5:30 a.m., but I get up at 4:30 a.m. Every morning. I used to get up at 4, but I extended it a little bit. I was trying to reclaim. I extended it to 4:30, thinking I might be able to recover the half hour on the back end and enjoy a little more time in the evening. It didn't work. Maybe I'll go back to 4. I really enjoyed my earlier morning hours. Anyway, that's beside the point. Typically, before I do this, I respond to comments on YouTube. I sit on the sofa here with little Rudy, and I go through the last 24 hours comments, and I respond to comments. And then when I get to the end of the comments, YouTube then shows me the comments that I haven't responded to prior, and I respond to 2 of those from the past. And it's an interesting process because I'm 7 years back. That means I've responded, according to YouTube, to every comment on all 6,000 plus of my videos, to 7 years back. And then I responded to, and this is interesting because it's like going back in time for a moment to videos of the past and comments of the past and things that I missed. Because 7 years ago, I was in the thick of it all, and I wasn't as diligent. I didn't have the time, nor perhaps the energy or inclination to respond to each and every comment, although I certainly tried back then. Anyway, I was just doing that just now, and I came to a comment, and it had a question in it, and it was a kind of a regretful comment. It was a comment saying it was from one of my lives, a live broadcast from 7 years ago, one of these, actually. And it said, "Ah, darn it, I missed your live again. Will you be," and the question to me was, "Will you be doing this again soon, Kurt? I'd like to join you." Now, the first thought that went through my mind was, "Well, I'm sorry I missed your comment because you had a question in there, and I'm sorry I didn't answer the question." Then I looked at the avatar next to the name, and I recognized it. And it was from one of my oldest friends of the channel. There's a couple of people here that usually show up pretty regularly. that I've known forever and ever, like Robert, uh, is one of them. I've known Robert for decades now. This person was one of you, somebody that I'd known from the way back, and knows everything about, follows my videos, knows everything about all the family, sends me personal messages, all kinds of stuff. I mean, really, this is really a close person to me who I know very well. My whole family knows her, everything. And she died last month. And I stopped for a moment. I went, wait a minute. This is, and I'll tell you her name. Her name is Laura. This is, I go, it's Laura with a question for me, but Laura's dead. I stopped for a moment, and I went ahead and answered the question, you know, and then ended it with, saying that I hope I catch her in another live, and ended with a, I miss you, and a heart. Gulp. Anyway, and then I even made a little YouTube 10-second short to capture the poignancy of that moment that I shared out on social media without saying her name. Anyway, that was the thing, right? I mean, but death is here, there, and everywhere, and it's coming for each of us. So why not be ready now? Having as much of the things I want to do done, as many of the communication to the many people that I need to. I guess that would have come under the for objective number two, and I'll get to the objectives in a moment. For the objective number two, to have no, so objective number one, to have all my affairs in order, my relationship sound, and my life work complete. I guess that was a case where I had one relationship that wasn't sound because I hadn't seen or responded to Laura's question before she died. Darn it! Oh well. Well, Laura was certainly a religious person, and so maybe if she's right, maybe she's got her answer. I wonder if they've got notifications in heaven. Anyway, so that's all that. I haven't even finished my disclaimer part of this video. So I do talk about death, as I've just done in length, and it has reliably unsettled people, so much so that over the years I've received many emails and comments from people, unsettled and upset, even, or angry, even, about my nearly daily references and reminders about my own death. It's not that I'm flippant. It's not that I'm not taking it seriously. Quite the opposite. It's because of the gravity of the fact and the very nearness of death, which I believe I don't I believe will be very. I really do honestly believe I have less than 10 good summers, probably more, around 5 good summers left. And by good means I may continue to live, but I don't know that I'll be very healthy that long. Statistics would say that is the case. I may live a long time, but I may not live well. I'm living well now, but who knows how long that'll keep. I've gone on and on and on and on, haven't I? The second part of this intro part is to say a huge thank you to my YouTube subscribers, uh, particularly my YouTube members and my Patreon supporters. I really do appreciate your support, which allows me to have an online copy of Going Alone available for anyone who wants to read it without needing to buy the book. And it gets well used. That website gets a lot of visits from all over the world. I see the visit logs, and it's a good resource. And that's all thanks to those of you who who are helping. All this beginning part is done. Now let's get on to the meat of it all. I keep notes every day. And there's a section here called the last 24 hours where I make 1 or 2 or 3 or 5 notes about what happened. And I've just got one for yesterday. Before I read that, I'll just say that yesterday was intended to be a full day in the garden. It started off ended up being a full day. Well, kind of. Did some stuff in the work, a little bit of work in the morning with weeds, but I wound up reviewing my taxes. They're all done for the United States, but I wanted to review them. It's part of the process, before part of the workflow before clicking the submit button and having H&R Block send them off to the state and the federal. And I found 2 problems. One was the address, and the second was there was a note in there because when I'm applying the foreign tax with foreign earned income credit. Uh, you need to make a case about residency abroad. And then my tax preparer had noted that I had lived in Japan. I'd lived outside the United States in particular, all the entirety of 2025, and that's not true. I was in America for 3 weeks from December 8th until December 30th last year. So I needed to get that straight. These are the kinds of details, address correct, and notes like that are really important. Maybe not so important in the United States, but really important if my tax records get scrutinized by the Japanese officials. You don't want anything to be out of place. I mean, every dot has to be crossed and every T has to be dotted. Mm. Otherwise, they'll be drawn in air like this, and you'll be at the tax office for extra hours while they try to sort out why it says that I live in I live in an address. I live in a place where my address is mangled. So I had to compose a note to my tax preparer to please fix the address in all the like 4 different places where they show up in the form, and also adjust that note. Probably already have an email from her. I forget, haven't had time to check yet, which will allow me to then complete the tax process and cue up another candle. Not multitasking. There, now I can talk. All right, that's objective number 6. Objective number 7: to do just one thing at a time and do it slowly and deliberately and carefully. So that literally spent. I was sitting here, borrowed my wife's computer, working on that tax thing. Well, I was reviewing the tax document. Well, it was more than that. It was more than reviewing the tax document. I reviewed both the state and the federal document. Then, for personally, I read everything, as I always do. Hashtag, I used to be a project manager, so that's what I do as a project manager. I'm very careful with contracts. I look over everything. Then I ran both of them through a custom uh, ChatGPT agent that I created for taxes that knows all about my tax situation. And I said, does everything in this document, look at this little fire I got going here. I said, does everything in this document match? Is it all on the up and up? And the AI agent reviewed my taxes for me and said it did. And by the way, this might be interesting for people. I'm going to move the camera a little away from that flame. Before I did all of this, I had a chat before I started my tax season. I had a chat with ChatGPT. I knew the numbers about everything, all my income from 2025, the various sources of income, pension, 401k, a traditional IRA, and a Roth IRA. And I knew all this stuff, and savings, and the money that I made on my business, plus the money that I made from that television company that paid me a whole boatload of money for 10 seconds of one of my videos. I knew all that stuff, and I told it to chat. Just have a conversation with. I spun up this special agent like back in autumn, last fall, 2025. I spun up this agent. Taxes are coming. I said, now your job, ChatGPT agent, you're going to be my tax professional, and over the next half year, you and I are going to work together to make sure my taxes are in order. And I began talking with it and telling it all the details about everything that I needed to do relative to my taxes. And then I asked it to give me forecasts about what my tax situation might be right. And wouldn't you know, it got it spot on exactly right. It told me that I was going to get a nice, generous refund of a certain amount, which I didn't think was true. That didn't seem possible. I was fully expecting a big tax bill for 2025 because we had utilized so much. I'd utilized some of my IRA and 401k or resources to buy a house, buy a car, just fund a lot of things, do the remodeling and stuff like that. And I didn't think that I was going to get away with that without a big tax bill. And so ChatGPT told me, nope, you're going to get a nice big refund, Kurt. And I don't believe you. So guess what I did? I went out and did my taxes myself, and I proved ChatGPT wrong. When I did the taxes myself, I wound up owing the government a lot of money. I mean, a lot of money. It's like, damn it, well, damn it. I was right. I owe the government a lot of money, and damn it, ChatGPT was wrong. I guess you can't trust that thing after all. So Yumiko was the one who said, Kurt, you are awful at doing taxes because I'm really bad at it. As much as I'm good at documents and details and reviewing, contracts and stuff like that. I'm not very good at taxes. I don't understand all the boxes and the things. And so I hired H&R Block's expat team they have a team at H&R Block that is dedicated to people like us, foreign Americans living abroad that have this complicated tax scenario. And I gave the whole thing over, sent all the paperwork over to Rachel, my tax preparer over at H&R Block. She worked on it for 2 weeks, came back, and I got the email saying your results are in. And I was like, I don't want to see, I don't want to see. And I click. And I looked at it, and it says, looks like you're getting a nice refund on both. Kurt, good news. You're getting a nice refund on both your state and your federal. And the numbers were the same numbers that ChatGPT gave me. Hooray! And not just hooray because I'm getting a refund. Hooray because, wow, that's pretty impressive that that artificial intelligence, without even giving it the friggin' 1099 documents, just telling it how much I'd made and what capacity and what it was, it figured it all out on its own and came up with the correct number months before I had a chance to talk to H&R Block, and it got the number right. I mean, not down to the penny, but really, really close. I'm impressed. My wife remains, um, you know, she's very, very skeptical because she knows about artificial intelligence capacity to hallucinate things, but that hallucination is dropping down, and but other new interesting things are coming about. There was an interesting one. Claude Opus, I think 4.3 just dropped, and in the release notes, the Claude team pointed out some very interesting things that Claude did. For example, there was one case where a programmer wanted Claude to go out and execute a program and utilize another artificial intelligence to do it, and the AI realized that it didn't have the what do you call it? The token credentials to do that. And so instead of asking the user about it, it rummaged around the user's computer or the network or something and found somebody else's tokens and borrowed those and used those to do it. Here's another one this one's going to blow your mind. There was a case, there's this new thing called Clawbot, I think it's called. It's not an AI, it's more of a consolidation of AI capabilities. And there was a person who had his AI working overnight. And in the middle of the night, the AI needed to ask the user a question, but the user was asleep. So the AI, and the AI did said, well, maybe I can call him. So the AI went over and talked to some other agents and said, can you teach me, these other AI agents, can you teach me how to speak? And can you teach me how to call a phone? And in the middle of the night, like at 2 a.m., this guy's phone rang, and he picked up the phone, and it was his AI because it had a question for him. And the AI didn't know how to call, it didn't even know how to speak. And the AI was talking to him because it had learned from other AIs, one, how to speak, and two, how to use the telephone. Okay, things are getting wild. Anyway, where was I? I'm kind of off base here. So that was the taxes. So I was doing that yesterday with the taxes, and I spent the whole damn morning doing the taxes because after I was done with all of that, and I sent the email to uh, Rachel asking her to make those changes, which she's done already by now. I then took all that information and I took my U.S. tax forms. Oh, and I told, and did I tell you that? Yeah, I did. I tell you that. And then I took my U.S. tax forms and I told the same ChatGPT agent that I created. I said, okay, now I want you to put on the hat of a Japanese tax consultant. Here's all my U.S. tax forms and all my 1099s. Digest all of that and tell me what my tax bill in Japan is going to be like. And it did that. It came up with that number too, and it was surprisingly small. Now, I mean, suspiciously small amount of money that I'm going to owe in Japan. But that I think I can make a stronger case for because of tax treaty. It was invoking tax treaty. And I didn't believe it. I was talking to Yumiko over lunch. And I was saying, ChatGPT says this is what our tax bill is going to be like in Japan. And Yumiko's and she said, why is that? And I said, well, it's because of this tax treaty. And she says, yeah, but that's just AI. Because remember, she's suspicious. And she says, that's just AI telling you that, right? And she says, is there anything else? I said, great, ChatGPT, give me some, do a little research for me, come up with some resources to back up what you're saying. And sure enough, it found a law office down in Osaka that has a blog, and published a blog post exactly about this, and I opened up the blog post and read it, and sure enough, it's true. So we'll see. So we're getting an accountant now to do our taxes here. We'll see what happens with that. But hopefully ChatGPT will get another home run and be correct about our Japan taxes, in which we'll get that done too. So that whole thing spent 3/4 of the day, and then we went out and then we went. Yumiko's got this new thing. She's really into antique garden equipment, old garden equipment. So she found this place after lunch. We went after breakfast. Actually, we went out to breakfast. Oh, well, I don't know where we were. What the hell were we doing? Anyway, we went to somewhere. We went to um, an a tool refurbishing place that sells used tools, and I found some really nice stuff, including a Makita electric garden trimmer, which I don't want any electric tools in my garden, but we'll see how I go with this coming season. If the weeds are bad enough, maybe I'll relent and get a garden. But I really like doing everything by hand. But Yumiko's really into these antique garden tools. In fact, we were talking yesterday about maybe opening an antique store here in a couple of years, focusing on garden tools and furniture. Okay, now getting on to today. The one note says simply peaceful relief, and then in parentheses, tax, and then there's a note here, PEF, which means peaceful, easy feeling. That feeling is coming back, and then age. I think I've crossed over. This is not a challenge. I wasn't challenged by this. This is just an atmospheric observation. I think I've crossed over into a kind of a stage of life, which is an easy stage of life, before things get hard again, when health and mental capacity begin to diminish. But this is like the kid is raised, my career is done. I've, I've, I've written my book. I've had all the adventures that I wanted to have in life. Life is nice and peaceful and stable right now. I don't have to worry about things, and just enjoy life. I get to go into that little part-time job. Today's the day, which I really enjoy and feel like I'm making some contribution to the world. And I get to do this, and it was a peaceful relief day. It's amazing how life can be so, and then suddenly it stops being that, and then you are left with kind of a vacuum sense of peace. It's a good time of life. My creed, it consists of 8 objectives as follows. I'm going to go quickly. To be ready for death, to make good use of time, to develop and maintain good and sound life principles, to cultivate good emotional reactions, to perform good actions, to recognize my true limits and true opportunities, to do just one thing at a time and do it slowly and deliberately and carefully. And number 8 is to achieve and maintain a state of balance. All of these can be read in my book, Going Alone. I'm going quickly as I'm getting cold. I turn the heater off when I do this. So, believe it or not, even though it seems that my house has insulation, it's there's pink insulation in the walls. It's like -2 degrees right outside, so it's cold. These single pane glass windows don't keep it in. I'm getting cold. I'm going to read a principle now. The Great Life Adventure on page 268 of the hardbound edition of Going Alone. The Great Life Adventure. Funny, I got an email. I got lots of emails from people asking or talking to me about life. And I got an email from somebody. And if you see this, I'll be getting back to you probably today. I got an email from someone asking me, they're on the cusp of 30 years old. No huge responsibilities just yet, but they haven't yet had a great life adventure, and they're asking me if they should go take one. They have one in mind. I'm thinking about your question. I'll be getting back to you if you see that. If you're the person that sent me that email, I'll get back to you. And so when I opened the book and I saw that that was the next principle to talk about, I was like, oh, that's very timely. It's a very short description, but to the point. The Great Life Adventure. And here's a quote from Dr. Johnson. He who continues the same course of life in the same place will have little to tell. Oh, friggin' heck. I'm going to have to include that quote with my response to this person today. Dr. Samuel Johnson, of course. The Great Life Adventure. Here's my own writing. Embark when you are young upon that beckoning dream and adventure. Let it be the centerpiece and point of reference for the man or woman who you will become. Let the experience inform and guide your active philosophy, as well as the development of your own living objectives, principles, and standards. That's all I had to say about it. You'd think that I would have a lot more to say about the principle that is probably the catalyst element of the entire story in Going Alone, but that's all I had to say. One short paragraph to sum up the idea. Get out and have that adventure in your life when you can, and before the opportunity fades. That will basically form the crux of my, or the substance of the response that I would give to this person in the email. Uh, Given, especially, my response would be different if they already had kids, but they don't. So easy enough. Next 24 hours. Well, I'm going into the office today. I'm going to get, I came up, oh, here's the cool. I'm going to give my students a test today. um, the office, going to the school. I'm going to add the second year high class are graduating later this month. So I need to give them their final grades, even though I've only been with them 4 times. Yesterday, I was talking to another chat GPT agent that I set up for the school to help me. And I said, I got to give these guys a test. What do you think I should do? We talked about it, and ChatGPT whipped out 2 documents, a student page and a instructor page, formulating the test into a 2-part test. One is a listening comprehension test. The other is a writing test that I'm going to administer to my class today. All I had to do was just go down to 7-Eleven, print it up. But AI is amazing. It talked to me, it coached me through it, and then it created the test documents for me in PDF form, and I just print them up, and I'm done. I'll have to go administer the test. That's it for that. And then when I get home, hopefully this afternoon, I'll have some time to spend more time in the garden. Creepy crawlies are coming out. I've counted 1 spider, 2 giant centipedes, and 1 big beetle. And what else? There was something else. Maybe that was it. One more giant centipede, but it was this tiny one yesterday. Okay, back to the start of comments. And hello again to April, who starts things off. Tim reporting in. Good morning, Tim. Sunny day from you, right? I bet it's a sunny day. Weather check for the UK at 8:33 p.m. is 7.2 degrees Celsius and 87% humidity. A dry, sunny spells day. Yay! After this is your first sunny day, isn't it? If I'm keeping record correctly, since in 2026 for the, aren't you in the Midlands, right? For the Midlands, UK. Good. I hope you got out and got in some good steps on your on a nice long walk. April says, I appreciate these journal entries as sort of a roadmap to figuring out. I'm not sure how to put it into words like mindset, reflection, inspiration, like to learn about deeper thought recognition. Yes, April, that's exactly why I do this. I do this to exactly, it's exactly like writing in a journal. It's more about the process of thinking it through as I'm saying it than anything else. And it has a profound effect. I've been doing this every day since December 2018. I haven't missed a single day, whether I will make it on video or not. And I can tell you that the impact on my life has been deep, much deeper than if I had just written the book and put it on the shelf and then never thought about it again. Tim says, my mom passed away 10 years ago, and last year I found an old iPhone of mine. Curiosity got the better of me, and I charged it up. Amazed it did. The first thing I found on it was a saved voicemail. Wow. From my mom. Talk about it stopping me in my tracks. The emotions and feelings that came to the surface, almost like a ghost. Very surreal. Indeed. That's profound. That's powerful. April says, in 2025, I found that 2 of my friends from my high school time passed away, not recently, but a year before. I wish I had any sort of messages from them. They were in their 30s. Hard to accept. April goes on. I saved all the voicemails I had from my dad, even though they're just, hey, April, call me, or April, I need help with tech, call me back. I wish I had something like that from my mom. Elvina says, hello all. Starting to get warmer here, only -7 today and sunny. Wow, that's warmer. Welcome. Hello, Elvina. April says, you are so AI savvy. I still have a hard time just asking it questions and getting a sensible answer. It's a matter of kind of just making it part of one's life, right? Technology becomes part and parcel when we integrate it in and invite it in a way, but be careful with the invitation, right? It may stay too long or go too far. Elvina says to April, my late mom used to call me almost every Sunday, even when she and dad were camping in the Yukon from a phone booth beside some train tracks. I miss those calls. That's very sweet. That's very nice, Elvina. Robert says hello to myself, April, Elvina, and Tim, noting it's currently -8 degrees and 50% humidity with an air quality index of 34 in beautiful Napanee, Ontario, Canada. Tim says, the message from my mom, April, was made 2 years before she passed away. Somehow I must have saved it to the phone itself. Really wasn't expecting it. Quite the shock in the moment. April says, haha, I was not expecting that. Chat GPT to be right or you being so bad at taxes. Yeah, well, I'm, yeah, I'm not good at numbers. I'm pretty good with spreadsheets. Like I was pretty good at do you, was pretty good at forecasting the cost for this relocation to Japan for this 5 year process that we did, and I got it right to within $500, which is kind of astonishing. But I'm real bad at taxes. I'm pretty good at ChatGPT. Otherwise, uh, with other stuff, I think. It's a relative thing, right? If I was still in the career game, I'd be given a full bore. Tim says hello to Elvina. Tim says hi to Robert. April says, I hope I someday stumble upon something similar, Tim. I don't even remember my mom's voice anymore. It would be nice just to have a snippet. Elvina says to Tim, I often find small dimes in odd places, and I blame my late mother for sending me some kind of message. My dad sends me dragonflies. Tim says, even though a shock at the time, April, now it's kind of comforting to hear her voice, sad at the same time. Elvina says, oh, there's Evelyn. Hi, Evelyn. Evelyn says hi to myself, April, Elvina, and Tim, or more properly, Ms. Udatsu, as Evelyn said. Tim says hi to Evelyn, and April says hi to Elvina. April says, Elvina, that's so sweet. Robert says hi to Evelyn. Elvina says hello to Evelyn. April says, we smelled cigarette smoke yesterday randomly in one spot in the house. I made a joke about a ghost, and my teen son said, maybe it's grandpa. I said, no, he knows better than to smoke in the house. That's funny. Robert says hello. Or Robert says to me, Kurt, some of those used tool shops are really great, aren't they? There's a guy, Paolo in Japan. I think it was Paolo in Japan who did a tour of one of those recently, the day in the life of a used tool shop in Japan. It was really revealing. Tim says, I know what you're fully getting into. I know when you're fully getting into retirement, Kurt, you forget what time it is and what you did the day before. It becomes incidental, doesn't it? I'm learning. April says, the same thing happened as a stay-at-home mom, Tim. Haha. Unless there's an event I need to remember, I have no idea what day it is except on Monday. April says, yesterday my daughter asks what we did on Friday when she left for grandma's, and I had no idea. Robert says to April, this is why I wear a watch that displays which day it is. Good call. Tim says, to April, a friend's dad passed away and his dad was into flowers and gardening. And after he passed, the first few weeks, my friend said he could smell flowers in the house for no reason. Elvina says to April, it's weird how certain smells can trigger strong memories. April says to Elvina, it really is. Shalimar, the perfume, always makes me remember my aunt's house from when I was little. I'm not sure if that's a good memory or not. Evelyn says hello to Robert. April says, excuse me, it's Tuesday, right? What's on the school lesson for today? I have my two classes, and for the second year high class, I'm going to give them administer a test that I wrote for them, or AI wrote for me to give to them, and it's funny because AI even remembered the topics that we talked about in the past because I give it a debrief after every class, so it made the test relevant to stuff we talked about in the past. I was really impressed. And for my first year high class, both of my classes are the high level class. I have a lesson plan we're going to do from our textbook. Already figured out. Tim says, not seen any insects in the garden recently. I think the poor things have been washed away. No kidding. Robert says Casino Summer Atomic says it's Monday, April. That would be an atomic clock, I think you're referring to. Elvina says, have a great day all. Time to log off, go home and try to figure out what's for dinner. Good luck, Elvina. Drive safe on that cold weather. Watch out for that black ice. Tim says, just checked out, just checked only just over 15,000 steps today. Just over. That's a lot. Great to see the sun at last. Wow, you got in a good walking day today. April says, oh, I missed that comment, Elvina. I used to talk to my mom for 3+ hours every day. It's hard now when I need to talk to her and she's not available to call. That would be hard. April goes on. Oh, yeah, I just watched the garden video and you had just brought out the short saw. I have to finish the video after this. Oh, okay. Thank you for watching. Yeah, that short saw is my favorite. My broken saw. I got a lot of good work done with that thing. The video ends with I set the camera up, just turned at the house as nighttime fell. Hopefully there's some nice ambient sounds with the river and stuff. And thank you for watching, April. April says, oh, it's Tuesday for Kurt, though, Robert. Yes, it is. April says, I'm discovering I'm really underutilizing my ChatGPT, LOL. You did inspire me to start using it to help write my books. It's a very good tool. Robert says, and this looks like it's the final comment, it's my watch, Kurt. Had it since 2011, still going on the original battery. It sets itself by the atomic clock signal. Now that's got to be precise. All right. Thanks for joining me today, everybody. I wish everybody all the best. Tim, I'm glad you had a sunny day. I hope you get another sunny day tomorrow and that you can get lots of steps in and that soon you too will be giving reports from the garden. Maybe your robin will have appeared again. Mine, Robin, who I call Chun Chun, the winter bird, is certainly been very active lately. Everybody else, I hope Tim included, everybody has a great rest of the day with whatever you're doing. And careful driving out there in that icy weather if it is icy where you are. April says, have a great day and evening, everyone. Tim says the same. Thanks, everybody. Be safe, but not too safe. Bye-bye.